Welcome back to the Hannahcast YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my Producers Guild Awards predictions, my Directors Guild Awards predictions, and my SAG Awards predictions. I have to do it all in one video because they're all happening this week, and I don't have time to do individual videos for all of them, so I'm just going to put them all in one video. And I will say, I am filming this on Saturday, meaning the Golden Globes winners have not come out yet, so I don't know how much the Golden Globes are going to sway me, but they shouldn't be too insane. If they are insane, I might have to do a live stream or something, because I don't know. But regardless, a lot has changed since, my last Oscar predictions video with Brother Bro, that you can watch right now or after this video. And granted, this isn't the Oscar predictions, these are the other guilds. The race is now Barbenheimer. I didn't think it would be, but the race right now is between Barbenheimer. Because, oh boy, wow. I thought it was going to be Oppenheimer versus Holdovers, but no, people are gravitating towards Barbie. They are gravitating towards Barbie. So much so to where it got the most nominations at the Golden Globes, and it shattered the record for the most Critics' Choice nominations ever. Even getting things like cinematography, which that doesn't even make any sense. And now the BAFTA long lists have come out, and, Barbie, Oppenheimer, and Killers of the Flower Moon have the most shortlist mention or long list mentions overall. And Barbie, once again, getting into categories they really doesn't even deserve to be in, at least in terms of shortlists, like cinematography and visual effects. That doesn't even make any sense. It just shows the industry really, really loves Barbie. Even the BAFTAs, which, good God, they didn't even like Black Panther all that much. They nominated the first film for visual effects and gave it the win, which single-handedly made me never trust the BAFTAs in their judgment for visual effects ever again. And they didn't even nominate any of the costume design in either movies. It's just they hated Black Panther. And then other movies like Women Talking, they didn't even nominate Women Talking for everything. Or no, for anything, I should say. And even when you look at the long lists, it didn't show up in a lot of long lists either. Whereas Barbie literally got everything it could have. So it's Barbie is so strong, how can you not say it is not at least number 2 to Oppenheimer? And if I'm being honest, Producers Guild could very well go for Barbie here. The Producers Guild do love their, their fun movies, their big blockbusters. Oppenheimer's also a blockbuster, but it's not all that fun. It's definitely not fun. But it is tough. Because just like last year, we're going to be getting a swell of, Producers Guild and SAG, if I'm not mistaken, after the BAFTAs. So we already know the BAFTAs are going to go for Oppenheimer, but will the guilds? And now granted, I know Directors Guild will. But the thing is, again, Oppenheimer does have advantages that movies like Roma and The Power of the Dog did not have. Even though it does make you feel bad, people are in love with Oppenheimer. People are still not tired of Oppenheimer. They still talk about it. They still love it. So it is tough, but Barbie could take it. And the fact that I'm already thinking Barbie takes, the adapted screenplay Oscar, and at the guilds, we'll talk about the other guilds later on. I'm thinking it's going to get quite a few guilds as well. It's I'm thinking Oppenheimer wins Producers Guild, but it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. Barbie could easily take it here. Barbie could easily take it. But at the same time, we're not talking about the winners. We're not talking about the winners, I guess. We're talking about the nominees. But I guess if I were to talk about the winners, I do think it is almost a coin flip between Oppenheimer and Barbie. But regardless, they are easily number 2. They are easily number 2. No, 1 and 2, I should say. Holdovers, that could also play well at the Producers Guild, because that's also a movie that really makes you feel good. People really love that movie. So yeah, Poor Things. I think it's safely in. I don't think it's gonna win this. And honestly, I think I was right when I said that I don't think Poor Things is like when people were saying, "Oh yeah, Poor Things is our Best Picture winner." It's like, hold your horses. Like from the moment it was winning like the Golden Lion, I was like, hold your horses, people. Like I don't think Poor Things is gonna beat Oppenheimer. And right now, since award season has started, it's pretty much been apparent that Poor Things is not beating Oppenheimer. So yeah. And like it just seems I've always said it just seems like a movie that's just going to solidly be in there and might win lead actress, although even that's not a guarantee. So I was like, can we really say that Poor Things is going to win here? Because like the thing is, people were saying that it was going to win, but the other argument is, all right, what guild is it going to win? It's not eligible for Writers Guild, so there's that, and that's not even really useful to us. It's not going to win SAG Ensemble. I'm doubting it even gets a nomination, especially since it's been missing ensemble nominations left and right. It's certainly not winning Directors Guild because Christopher Nolan has that in a handbasket. And do we really think the Producers Guild is going to pick Poor Things above Oppenheimer, Barbie, and The Holdovers? Movies that are more likely bets than Poor Things? I mean, there's even a chance Killers of the Flower Moon might get it in over Poor Things, or at least could get the award over Poor Things. So yeah, and it turns out I was right. No one's really there's not a ton of passion for Poor Things. There's enough passion to nominate it quite a few places, but not really enough in terms of wins. And again, not really, and doesn't have as much of the cultural zeitgeist as much as Barbie has. Killers of the Flower Moon, solidly in there. American Fiction, solidly in there. God, I can't speak today. Maestro, solidly in there. Past Lives, solidly in there. Those last two spots, like, okay, admittedly, it's not, like, Producers Guild, I think, is easier to figure out than the Oscars. Because the Oscars, oh my god, it is insane. I do think The Color Purple, despite its Oscar chances being very, very iffy, The Color Purple, I think, will make it in here because they won't go for movies like The Zone of Interest or Anatomy of a Fall. So I think that's safe here. And I think Air will, although there is a chance Spider-Verse could also make it in. Because Spider-Verse, it is, like a big superhero film, and, the Producers Guild Awards do that a lot. So it definitely could, although there haven't really been a lot of animated movies to get into Producers Guild as well. It hasn't happened a lot. So even that's kind of iffy. But I don't know. I will say, people are saying, oh, if Spider-Verse gets into Producers Guild, I'm putting it back in the Best Picture lineup at the Oscars. I'm like, don't do that because you're only setting yourself up for disappointment. Because Spider-Verse is a superhero movie. They love superhero movies at the Producers Guild. Like, they nominated The Dark Knight. They nominated Deadpool. They nominated Wonder Woman. They nominated Black Panther Wakanda Forever. They will nominate superhero movies. They just will. So, I don't think, even if Spider-Verse got in here, which it could, I don't think that would save it in the Oscars, because the BAFTAs clearly hated it. Like, they don't care about it other than in, animated features, score, and visual effects. And I'm not even expecting Spider-Verse to get score at the Oscars, because if they couldn't even nominate, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, why would they do it with Spider-Verse? So, yeah. May, December, maybe. Saltburn, maybe. Godzilla -1, I think, would be the most likely. I think it would be the most likely international film to get nominated here, because it is a big blockbuster. It is like the big pop cultural zeitgeist thing. But again, if it were to make it in, it's not getting nominated at the Oscars. Come on, let's be realistic here. It didn't even make film not in the English language. It didn't even make the long list at BAFTA, so why would they do it there? Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall. I would be very shocked if those made it in. So, yeah. Directors Guild, once again, it's a little bit easier to figure out, although, yeah. Christopher Nolan, he's taking this in the handbasket. It's his year. and I am happy. Like the other two, I will say, are locked in. Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and you know what, I'll even say Greta Gerwig for Barbie. And the fifth slot is tricky, because the thing is with Directors Guild, you usually want to go, 4 out of 5 with the Oscar nominations. And they're obviously not going to nominate Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. If they did, that would be insanely out of character for the Directors Guild. Because, like, they never go, 5 out of 5. For example, last year, the Directors Guild nominated Joseph Kosinski in that fifth slot, when in the Oscars, they went for Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. The year before that, we had Denis Villeneuve for Dune, and instead they went for... The Oscars went for Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. The previous year before that, we had Aaron Sorkin for The Trial of the Chicago 7, and in the Oscars, he got snubbed in favor of... Thomas Vinterberg for Another Round. Previous year before that, Directors Guild, Taika Waititi, the Oscars, Todd Phillips in Joker. So it's like, you want to go 4 out of 5. And I feel like one of these two ladies is going to get the Oscar nomination. It's either going to be Greta Gerwig or Celine Song. Now, the reason why I'm a little bit torn between who will get the Oscar nomination is because... Celine Song would be someone that would more likely be like what the Oscars would go for, because the Oscars don't typically like these big blockbuster kind of directors these days. Again, they snubbed Christopher Nolan for Inception. They snubbed Ridley Scott for The Martian. They snubbed they snubbed Denis Villeneuve for Dune. They snubbed James Cameron for Avatar: The Way of Water. It's like, they don't really like their big blockbuster directors. But the other argument is that Barbie is at least number 2 for Best Picture. Like, that is significant. That is very important to know. And yeah, although at the same time, one could make the argument, Peter Farrelly, he directed the Best Picture winning Green Book, and even though he was nominated at the Directors Guild, he didn't get the Oscar nomination. Which is true. That is true. Again, that's why it's not easy. It's like it's good. I do feel like, at the Oscars, it will be either Celine Song or Greta Gerwig, and then the other one just gets thrown away in favor of Jonathan Glazer, because they will just do that. But at the Directors Guild, I feel pretty good in saying that it's gonna be Nolan, Scorsese, Lanthimos, Gerwig, and Song. And then it's like, oh my god, Past Lives is strong, and we're gonna see that happen, because she still does have that Golden Globe nomination, so she's not out of, she has some strength. And she is shortlisted at BAFTA for director, although that is also a very tough line. Is she actually going to make it in the 6th lineup at BAFTA? Because there is a good chance Greta Gerwig just does not show up at the BAFTAs or at the Oscars for director. So it is tough. I do think the Directors Guild will go for her, though. Other options, Alexander Payne could maybe get in. He missed the Globe nomination, but he did get the Critics' Choice nomination. And it is a very showy case of direction, so they could do that. Bradley Cooper in Maestro, I would have said was probably getting in if it wasn't for the fact that Maestro is kind of slowing down to a halt. Film Twitter is hating this movie, which granted, they are not the industry. But it's I was thinking, initially, oh yeah, Maestro is, number 6 for Best Picture. And the only reason that was keeping me from putting in the top 5 is that, I don't have Bradley Cooper in director. And despite the fact that it's a very showy directorial film. Well, that didn't work. Because, again, a lot of people find the narrative to be very boring and not really, engaging. Not even in, a feel-good way. For example, I'm a sucker for The Theory of Everything. I know there's a lot of people who are on that movie. But you can't say that did not hook audiences. Like, audiences were like struck in by the film. It's like, it gets you in the feels. Maestro doesn't really do that. So it's like, it doesn't have a, you know, like, I don't know. I think the best way to describe, like, comparing Maestro to The Theory of Everything is that The Theory of Everything, it's also about a romance, but there is also another hook that gets you into the film, which is, Stephen Hawking's, diagnosis of ALS. And so, like, oh man, like, that's one of the big emotional hooks of the film. Maestro just doesn't really have that. It's just like the romance, but it's also not even like we don't even get to really know the romance. It's just kind of like almost at a distance. So it's like, like, I don't know. I don't think Bradley Cooper is going to show up at the Directors Guild. I just don't. Ben Affleck for Air, no, I don't think that's happening. I thought Air was going to perform a little bit better than we thought, but I don't know. Again, I do think, Air is getting in at, the Producers Guild, but even then, like, and it could still make it into the Oscars, because there still is a good nomination package to go along with it. There is screenplay and editing. It could do that. Whereas with, The Color Purple, it's becoming increasingly harder to defend like a Best Picture nomination for it, as well as, other stuff. Like, it's just strange. But regardless, yeah, Jonathan Glazer, Justine Triet, not going to happen at the Directors Guild. Could happen at the Oscars, although but even then, I don't think Justine Triet is getting the Oscar nomination. I think it will be just Jonathan Glazer, but it's at least worth putting out there. Now we move to the SAG Awards. And again, this is interesting. We have Barbie and Oppenheimer, and again, it's not easy. And I know it's weird. I have Oppenheimer winning Producers Guild, and I have Barbie winning SAG. And yeah, it is kind of tough. And we pretty much know that, at the Writers Guild, Barbie's going to win Adapted Screenplay, and Oppenheimer will probably win Adapted Screenplay. Wait, or did I say adapt? Like, Barbie will win Original Screenplay, and Oppenheimer will win Adapted Screenplay. Because they are the two biggest screenplay contenders. And it's only at the Oscars where they will actually compete, well, as well as the Golden Globes, but still. So yeah, it is tough. Barbie does have that ensemble that's like, yay, oh my god, the movie that makes you feel good, and it's like, we want to see these people on stage, it's a lot of fun. But Oppenheimer also has the cast of the year. That cast is stacked with, like, multiple Oscar winners, multiple Oscar nominees. You have Josh Peck in there, even though he's probably not going to get nominated for SAG Ensemble because of the SAG rules, which makes me sad, because I want to see Josh Peck up on that stage with the Oppenheimer crew. Not going to happen. I'm upset. Regardless, I do think it is tough between those two. I'm going with Barbie, and granted, I also have another award, going in Barbie's direction, which admittedly makes the, one of the races a little bit more tougher, so we'll have to see. But right now I have Barbie in there because they do like their cheer movies, like, yay, let's make me happy. I think Killers of the Flower Moon is easily in there. I don't think it's going to suffer from, like, something I think Poor Things could suffer. Because I think there is a good narrative around the cast in Killers of the Flower Moon and the authenticity of it. Air, I think there's, regardless if Air ends up being nominated, like, actually, honestly, Air and The Color Purple, I feel like, are good bets to have here, because one of them will not make it to the Oscar nominations. I do think one of them will slip. Because, like, the SAG Awards usually do this, where it's like there's always one movie, at least, well, not always, but there's usually at least one movie that gets nominated for SAG Ensemble that does not make it to the Oscar lineup. Last year, that was Babylon. The year before that, it was House of Gucci. The year before that, it was actually quite a few movies. There was Da Five Bloods, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and One Night in Miami. So, like, literally most of the nominees. Then the year before that, you had Bombshell. The year before that, you had movies like Crazy Rich Asians. So it's like you get like at least if the way I'm looking at it, you want to have one movie in your SAG Ensemble lineup that does not fit into your Best Picture Oscar predictions. And honestly, I don't know which of these two will be bumped out. Right now, I'm actually kind of thinking The Color Purple gets bumped out of Best Picture. But then again, I don't know. Maybe there will be a good narrative around it where it's like, this movie's slipping. We, do the right thing, Oscars. But again, it's also tough because it's like, it's not getting any guild support whatsoever. Like, it didn't even make it at the Costume Designers Guild Awards. And yet, Women Talking, as weak as that showed during, the precursors, even Women Talking got into the Costume Designers Guild. So it's like, and not only that, it made it into the Costume Designers Guild despite the movie not doing well in theaters. Like, the movie bombed, and The Color Purple, I think, is still doing pretty well. So again, it's like, what do you do here? Like, it's like, I don't know. So I do think these two will make it into SAG Ensemble. It's just one of them won't be in Best Picture. And then, we get to the other films. The Holdovers, maybe, but I don't know. The Holdovers really just kind of has 3 actors, and it's not impossible that it could get in, but it's also like, I don't know. Poor Things, I know everyone's expecting Poor Things to be on here, but I don't know. I've always kind of said Poor Things might show some weakness in some areas. Like, I'm not thinking it gets nominated for editing at the Oscars, and I think it might not get nominated for SAG Ensemble. And surprisingly, even to my shock, Poor Things is not getting nominated for a lot of ensemble awards, which is kind of crazy. Because, like, I was expecting that to happen at SAG, but not in the precursors. So that makes me wonder, will Poor Things, sort of rebound? So I don't know. Maestro, I don't know. I'm just kind of listing off some of the other ones. American Fiction, May December, Saltburn, Iron Claw, Asteroid City, Rustin. I'm just kind of leaving out the, laying out the possibilities. But overall, I think this is a very good 5 to have. Because, again, you have your 3 locks, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, and then your 2 iffies. It's like, like which of these is happening at the Oscars and which of these isn't? And that's Air and The Color Purple. So it's like, whichever one, like, yeah, that's what I'm kind of going with. Then we get to SAG Lead Actress. I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to really, really believe Lily Gladstone is taking the Oscar. Like, the critics groups are going insane for her, which granted doesn't mean a lot, but it does show that Lily Gladstone has so much support, and she might win the Golden Globe for lead actress drama. Like, she very well is probably going to win that. So it is kind of interesting. And like, so yeah, although Emma Stone could maybe take it, but I don't know. Everything just seems to be going in Lily Gladstone's favor right now. So right now granted, she's going to get nominated regardless, as well as Emma Stone at SAG. That's why I'm kind of thinking she takes it. Carey Mulligan, Maestro, squarely in there. Like, just going to be solidly in there. Margot Robbie for Barbie, she's easily getting nominated for the SAG award, but the question is, will she get the Oscar nomination? And I've been more and more convinced that she might. Like, she very well could. Especially if the film is as strong as it seems, being, like, again, number 2 in Best Picture. Although at the same time, if it is number 2 in Best Picture and not number 1, then they might not nominate her in the Oscars. But I don't know, it is tough, because it would be very weird to have a frontrunner like Barbie and not have Margot Robbie come along with that. It would be kind of strange. Regardless, I think she is going to be in at SAG. Then at number 5, Annette Bening for Nyad. I know everyone's saying, what? You don't have Greta Lee or Fantasia Barrino? Look, the SAG Awards always do this. They always like to pull tricks on us where it's like, look, we're nominating, what was it? Like Adam Sandler in Hustle, or we're nominating like we're nominating someone that's kind of weird, and it's like, oh my god, like this is showing some strength. Or maybe not even Adam Sandler in Hustle. Like that's maybe not even the best example. But for example, like Ben Affleck in The Tender Bar, or Jared Leto in The Little Things, or Eddie Redmayne in The Good Nurse. Or no, is it The Good Nurse? I'm trying to. Wait, no, I don't know. I'm not exactly which one it is. Maybe is that a TV show? Regardless, it's the it's the the one where Eddie Redmayne plays the psychotic nurse. So I think that's just going to be Annette Bening. Annette Bening, and we'll talk about Naya a little bit later on, but it's like I do feel like she will get into SAG, and it's going to start to look like a threat. Like, oh no, is she going to get nominated for the Oscar? She's not going to get nominated for the Oscar. Just don't know. And people will start to panic and go, oh no, Greta Lee, she's not in. We have to take her out of our Oscar predictions. It's like, I don't think Greta Lee's going to get nominated here. I think she will get the Oscar nomination because I do want to go in with the principle of you can't nominate Past Lives for Best Picture and not nominate Greta Lee. You can't, I don't think you can do that. And so I feel like regardless, I think she will get in at the Oscars. I just don't think she's going to get in at SAG. I mean, if she does get in at SAG, she's absolutely in. Like, there's no question about it, even if she misses BAFTA. But I still think, even if she were to lose out on a nomination here, Greta Lee, I still think would be a fair bet for the Oscars. Because I don't think this would be consequential. I think all she needed was to appear at the Globes and to appear at the Critics' Choice. And that's literally all she needs, in my opinion. And I also have Fantasia Barrino for The Color Purple. Once again, maybe, but it's also like, the category is already very competitive as is. And yeah, again, The Color Purple is just not doing very well. It's just not really doing all that well. So it's like, Natalie Portman for May December. Again, too packed. I don't think I can see her in. Helen Mirren and Golda would be another one of those, like, what is happening? Like, what? Like, if the crazy nomination, even though I'm already expecting her to be in it, like, Annette Bening is what I'm thinking will be the crazy nomination. Like, the what? If it's not her, it's going to be Helen Mirren. Like, Helen Mirren might be that weird nomination where it's like, hold on a second. It's like, so yeah. Helen Mirren, I'm not gonna lie, she could be the wild card nomination. And if she were to be in, granted, I would be shocked, but I would obviously not believe that she's getting the Oscar nomination. So there's that. Kaylee Spinney for Priscilla. That might also be an oddball nomination. One that comes out of nowhere, it's like, wait, what? But again, I don't think that it's going to happen at the Oscars. And then Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. I mean, granted, she's not really missed a beat yet. She's gotten the Globe nomination, Critics' Choice, and she might get the BAFTA. She's not going to get the SAG nomination, no way. And then Tiana Taylor for 1001, rest in peace. Lead actor, once again, this is tough. And again, this is kind of, admittedly, this is where I would need the Globes to tell me what to do right now, because admittedly, Bradley Cooper or Cillian Murphy, that's a coin flip. It is actually a coin flip. Because on one hand, Bradley Cooper is doing everything you need to win an Oscar. But at the same time, people are not really passionate about Maestro. Whereas with Cillian Murphy and Oppenheimer, people are in love with Oppenheimer. They love the idea of giving Cillian Murphy the award. He's gotten more critics awards than Bradley Cooper. So it could happen. And honestly, depending on where then again, I don't know if I want to say if the Globes go this way or that way. Like, it's tough. Like, but regardless, they're both getting nominated. So, like, whether or not Bradley Cooper wins or Cillian Murphy wins, they're both going to get nominated. But it's like, I'm giving Bradley Cooper slightly the edge. But again, it's not by a lot. It's really not by a lot. Paul Giamatti safely in, Leonardo DiCaprio safely in, and honestly, I kind of just defaulted to my Oscar top five with, with Coleman Domingo for Rustin. Honestly, because like for the past few years, there has been a SAG, nomination or SAG category that has aligned 5 out of 5 with the Oscars. Lead actor in 2020, lead actor in 2021, and supporting actress in 2022. Is that a good stat to go off of? I don't know. But right now, I don't know. Because it's just like, Jeffrey Wright maybe, but it's also like, I just don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know. If there is a wild card where it's just like, whoa, hold on a second. You could maybe see Joaquin Phoenix for Napoleon. That would be very strange, though. But yeah, like, there is a world where Joaquin Phoenix is like, where he's like, Christian Bale in Ford v Ferrari, although even then, he got nominated for the Globe, so it's like, so it is tough. Joaquin Phoenix for Napoleon, not completely out of the conversation, but right now I am going to stick with my top five: Cooper, Murphy, Giamatti, DiCaprio, and Domingo. Other, options I have down there: Matt Damon for Air, Barry Keoghan for Saltburn, Joaquin Phoenix for Beau is Afraid. Beau is Afraid maybe could happen at SAG. That could maybe happen. Beau is Afraid. And then Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers. Again, I'm just kind of throwing things out there, but I don't think it's really happening. So I'm just gonna go with my SAG five, with my Oscar 5, and hope for the best. Supporting actress. Yeah, I'm starting to really think Danielle Brooks is not winning. Even though I would give her the award, it's like, again, The Color Purple is just not doing well. And honestly, even though granted, you're watching this after the Golden Globes have already come out, but I am kind of switching my supporting actress prediction to Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, because she's winning everything, and the only person I think I've seen that's been beating her is Rachel McAdams for Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret, and that's kind of it. Now, granted, you're probably wondering, why don't I have Rachel McAdams in there? Well, it's because it's kind of tough, because, all right, Danielle Brooks, I have at second place behind Divine Joy Randolph, because I think Divine Joy Randolph might just take it this year. She might just take it. Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, safely in. America Ferrera is starting to become a big threat for the supporting actress nomination at the Oscars. Like, she's literally been nominated at Critics' Choice, and the BAFTAs actually longlisted her. They actually longlisted her for supporting actress. Really crazy. That's like, wow. Even if the BAFTAs are loving Barbie that much, I can't assume that America Ferrera is not going to make it in at the Oscars. Oh, no, at SAG, at least. Like, so, she's going to be in at SAG. And honestly, I'm kind of going for Jodie Foster for that 5th slot. Again, granted, this would mean she has the Globe nomination, the Critics' Choice nomination, and SAG. But again, even if she were to get all 3 of these, I would not believe she's getting the Oscar nomination, because Nyad is so not in Best Picture. And like that makes you vulnerable. It makes you vulnerable. And plus, even then, I already have a few other women who could get in over her at the Oscars. So there is that. If it's not Jodie Foster for that 5th slot, then it is Rachel McAdams for Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret. Like, I think she would just get in at SAG. That could definitely happen. Julianne Moore for May December. Again, another big possibility. I don't think she's getting the Oscar nomination, but I think, at SAG, maybe. Taraji P. Henson for The Color Purple. Admittedly, she's just kind of died. Like, The Color Purple, again, if The Color Purple was already not strong as is, she's not getting nominated anywhere. So, Penelope Cruz for Ferrari, I'm not gonna lie, I'm very much doubting her at this point, even at the Oscars, because, even the BAFTAs did not longlist her. And I was like, what? Because, like, if I said from the beginning, like, if Penelope Cruz for Ferrari got nominated either at Golden Globes or BAFTA, I'd be like, you know what? I am, like that's all I need to predict her for a nomination at the Oscars. She was not nominated at the Golden Globes, and she's not even longlisted at BAFTA. So, I don't think she's happening. I don't think she's actually happening. Florence Pugh for Oppenheimer, I'm just kind of throwing that out there. Viola Davis for Air. Rhea Perlman for Barbie. Sandra Huller for The Zone of Interest. I think Sandra Huller might actually get the Oscar nomination. But, again, I'm not expecting the SAG Awards to love, The Zone of Interest all that much. Supporting actor. The funny thing is, I'm kind of thinking Ryan Gosling wins the Globe, which granted, we'll see how that, plays out. Again, this is another one of the things where it's like, but I kind of have to just film this after, before the Globes, because I gotta get my Globes predictions up. So, yeah, I think okay. Right now I'm thinking the SAG Awards will go for Ryan Gosling. I'm already thinking Ryan Gosling wins the Globe. I'm thinking he wins Critics' Choice. And admittedly, if he wins SAG, that's very significant. That's literally 3 wins under his belt. I don't think he's winning at the BAFTAs, despite how much they seem to love Barbie, at least in terms of the long lists. But I don't think he wins at BAFTA. I think Robert Downey Jr. takes it at BAFTA. Although, granted, there's a good chance Robert Downey Jr. could take it at the Globes. That would be significant. So it really is. It's really, really tough between Ryan Gosling and Robert Downey Jr. Any one of these two could happen. And so right now I'm thinking SAG will go for Ryan Gosling. But they could just go for Robert Downey Jr. Who knows? Mark Ruffalo, Poor Things, safely in there. I don't think he'll get nominated. And this is where we are starting to see some weakness for Charles Melton. And I've kind of been saying that, he did not get longlisted at BAFTA, which is kind of crazy. Because, even with, supporting actress, they longlisted America Ferrera. And I think what this shows is that, granted, I think May December did get a supporting actress mention in the long list, an original screenplay mention in the long list, although granted, original screenplay is not really all that competitive, but at the same time, Natalie Portman did not get longlisted at, the BAFTAs for lead actress. So I don't know, is May December just not doing well in the industry? Because there is a chance of that. Because, again, it's not in Best Picture, so immediately Melton is vulnerable. And if I'm being honest, I think I've been saying Dominic Sessa, he's going to start showing up. Granted, I don't know why it's taking him so long to show up. He didn't show up at the Globes and he didn't show up at Critics' Choice. But I feel like if you're going to nominate the holdovers for Best Picture, you kind of have to nominate Dominic Sessa. And he did get longlisted at the BAFTAs. And I'm thinking, all right, well, he has to show up here. If he doesn't even show up at the SAG Awards, I will actually be concerned for him. Because, I've been saying, I've been very, very confident in his nomination prospects. But so far, it's just not happening. It is tough. I do think he will get in. He will surprise. It's oh my God, the industry actually does love him. And that 5th slot is kind of tough. Again, maybe Charles Melton gets in. But I don't know. I don't know if he does. Robert De Niro, I think there are a handful of picks that could maybe take over that 5th slot. I'm thinking Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon. Although we might see Willem Dafoe for Poor Things. I'm thinking maybe Willem Dafoe actually gets the Oscar nomination. And Glenn Howerton for Blackberry could also be a shocker nominee. Much like Ben Affleck in The Tender Bar, where it's hold the phone, wait, what are we just witnessing right here? where it's like, even though granted, Glenn Howerton is never going to get that Oscar nomination for Blackberry, like, I could see a world where they nominate him here. That could definitely happen. But I don't know. I think there is a chance Charles Melton, like, his hype is starting to die down. Like, May December had like this like boop when it was on Netflix, and it kind of peaked at the wrong time. Other maybes, Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Ben Affleck for Air. I don't think Matt Damon's getting the Oscar nomination. He didn't even get longlisted at BAFTA, so it's like, that's very concerning. And, yeah, although if he showed up here, I'd be like, oh wow. And then John Majaro for Past Lives, he's dead, he's deceased. No, absolutely no one's going for him. Even at the BAFTAs for supporting actor, despite, longlisting Teo Yu for lead actor, they are still not going for John Majaro. He is dead in the water. So, sorry about that. And then the last category we're going to be talking about, Stunt Ensemble. This is kind of interesting. I'm thinking, because, nothing really screams like this is the obvious winner. Because we know what the obvious winner is usually. Although, then again, that sometimes we don't. We knew Top Gun Maverick was winning last year. But then, the year before that, it's like, oh, wow, No Time to Die actually won. And it's also kind of weird because, they'll sometimes throw in movies where it's like, why is this getting in for Stunt Ensemble? For example, like The Irishman and Joker, or The Trial of the Chicago 7. So it's like, so it is really tough. I'm thinking maybe Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 gets in because it is the most apparent one to maybe secure a win, because I don't know what else would win. What else would win here? There's no really big Marvel movies that I think could do it. We don't have any Black Panther movies, and we don't have any Avengers movies, so that's kind of tough. I guess the closest would be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but I don't even think they nominated the previous two for Stunt Ensemble. So I am just kind of defaulting to Mission Impossible. Ferrari, Killers of the Flower Moon, even though it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but again, they did it for The Irishman, they could do it here. Napoleon, I was expecting Napoleon to get it in, but however, now I'm very much, thinking it gets in, considering how much love it's gotten in the Oscar shortlists. And even some of the BAFTA shortlists, or long lists. Why don't they just call them shortlists? I don't know, maybe it's a British thing. God. In case anyone's wondering, I'm joking about the whole British thing. Good God. People were actually thinking I was actually dissing on the British when I was talking about time zones in my BAFTA long list video. It was a joke. Good God, people. I had just woken up. It's not even, it's not even a big dig on the British. It was just British people in their time zones. It's you couldn't think that was actually you didn't know that was actually a joke. It's I don't know. People are weird. Especially the British. I'm kidding. But yeah, Napoleon, I think it's in. And that last slot, I think, might just be Indiana Jones. There's maybe room for the creator could maybe get in. I don't think Barbie gets in, because, I don't know if they go for those kind of stunts where it's, goofy fight scenes, in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So, yeah, I don't think that happens. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, probably not. John Wick 4 on paper makes a lot of sense, but they have never nominated a John Wick movie for Stunt Ensemble, so why would they do it here? And The Color Purple, I don't know, because dancing and stuff. Admittedly, I don't really know a lot about that. Or at the very least, it's tough to say, because it's what do the SAG Awards consider stunts? I mean, good God, they gave both Wonder Woman movies the award for Stunt Ensemble, which doesn't really make any sense to me when you look at the other competition. But regardless, now that I can go ahead and pass the question off to you, what are your predictions for the Producers Guild Awards, the Directors Guild Awards, and the SAG Awards nominations. Like I said, this video is being filmed before the Globes come out, like before the Golden Globes air. So maybe some of these will age very badly in terms of who I think will win. But regardless, yeah. And be sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, maybe you'll start sagging.